Welcome to Buckaroo Buckeye's Peek at the Reading Process and Reading Assessment for Parents, Part 1. First, I quickly direct your attention to this disclaimer. The introduction you are about to receive is not a certified training in any of the processes or programs presented. The information contained in this presentation is my compilation of research and science-based materials for reading instruction, for which there is reliability data and that I have used to supplement my services as a reading specialist. However, the information included in this introduction does not include all available research and resources on this topic. Families must be involved as active, essential participants in the assessment process. Family involvement in assessment is inseparable from curriculum, instruction, and learning. What does this involvement look like? Parents should be knowledgeable about assessment. Families should be active participants in the assessment process. Family involvement in the assessment process includes learning more about reading and writing. Today we will focus on the brain and the reading process. What does this look like, you ask? Everything we see, hear, taste, smell, or touch has to be processed by our brain. Which of these do you think the reading process uses the most? Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, teeth, lips, tongue? If you answered all of them, you are correct. This represents the paradigm created by the Lindemood Bell learning processes, home-based in San Luis Obispo, California. The Lindemood Bell processes subscribe to a multisensory, brain-based, and research-backed approach to reading and intervention. This is your brain on reading. Auditory processing plus visual processing plus language processing plus comprehension equals the reading process. Auditory processing is the ability to identify and manipulate sounds and words, taking what our ears hear and sending to the brain for identification. Auditory processing, or phonemic awareness, is the foundation and strength of the reading process. Phoneme awareness is the best predictor of reading success, not IQ. Do not confuse phonemic awareness with phonics or decoding, which is the matching of letter symbols to sounds. Weakness in phonemic awareness will create weakness in all the other sectors of the reading process, even into adult. The next sector of the reading process is visual processing. Visual processing is the matching of letter symbols to letter sounds. Visual processing is more commonly referred to as decoding or phonics and breaking the alphabetic code. Symbol imagery is the strength behind visual processing. Symbol imagery is when the eyes send the letters they see in print to the brain, where they are held and compared and matched to the appropriate sounds. Then the sounds are blended together into the word by the brain and then returned to the reader to match what the reader sees as the word. The more rapidly and accurately a child can decode, the better their fluency rate, and the better their fluency rate, the better their comprehension. Visual processing also includes sight words. Sight word mastery is the instant recognition of words without having to sound them out first. Sight word mastery is essential because there are many words in the English language that do not play fair by the expected sound rules, or referred to as expectancies by Lindemood Bell learning processes. We just have to know these words on sight. For example, the words though and through and round and would, the OU letter pattern has multiple sounds. The word come for the silent E at the end of a word, which we expect to signal the preceding vowel to say its name. Or the words ate and height for the EI letter pattern expectancy that when two vowels go walking, the first one does the talking and usually says its name. Language processing is vocabulary development and recognizing the structure of language, such as the parts of speech, identifying prefixes and suffixes, punctuation, and use of context, which is using the words around a word to both identify the word and determine its meaning. Language processing relies upon word attack skills. This includes knowing common expectancies like two vowels go walking, signal E, digraphs, or diphthongs, as well as knowing the exceptions such as Y can say the sound E like in the word city, or long I like in the word my. Language processing aids in the ability to process print at a fluent rate of reading. Fluency is not speed or how fast you can read. Fluency and reading rates vary per individual. The goal is to find a consistent rate that allows the reader to quickly and accurately decode words. Science supports that if you have to sound out every word, you will have a slow fluency rate and low retention and comprehension. No one sector alone supports reading success. Strengthen all three sectors of auditory processing, visual processing, and language processing will build the greatest strength for the ultimate prize to reading, which is comprehension. Along with reading enjoyment, comprehension is the ability to understand and gain knowledge and interpret what we have read, sometimes using higher order thinking skills such as inference, deduction, summarizing, or opinion. Concept imagery is an essential partner to comprehension. Concept imagery is the making of images on your mind's screen from the words as we read or listen, like creating a film on your mind's screen. As Albert Einstein once said, "If I can't picture it, I can't understand it." We do not need to image every word. A child with good concept imagery skill as they read will be able to answer a simple question such as, "What was the story about?" instead of shrugging their shoulders and saying instead, "I don't know." Many times that same child can recount an entire story in sequence from beginning to middle to end of a favorite movie. If you don't believe me, try it. The building of a successful reader starts with a strong foundation in auditory processing, visual processing, language processing, and comprehension. Cracks in the strength of any one of these floors is cause for concern, but particularly in auditory processing, as this is the framework and base for the total construction and strength over time of this entire building we call reading success. I would be remiss if I didn't ask, is that all? There are other brain functions that contribute to reading success and mastery of the foundations to reading. The development of these functions begins at birth. Did you know these simple brain facts? The brain is divided into two hemispheres, the right and left. The hemispheres are divided into lobes. These parts of the brain work together to help us perform everything. They enable us to speak our native language, learn new languages, play, identify our families, remember our childhood, and much, much more. Learning is differentiated in the brain. This means that many areas of the brain are used for doing things, such as reading. For example, it used to be subscribed to that one area alone was responsible for something such as reading. Not so. Reading requires the ability to jump back and forth from sphere to sphere, or bilaterality. Neurons create connections and pathways as we learn, and there are over 100 billion neurons available for information transmission. Don't forget the importance of developmental stages. Your child forms 50% of the main learning pathways in his brain in the first 5 years of life. About 30% more is developed before age 8. It's not the number of brain cells that determines usable intelligence. It's the number of connections that are made between those brain cells. These connections are formed by the experiences that parents provide through a rich, stimulating environment in the early years. There is a big difference between a rich, stimulating, enjoyable environment and pressure. Overambitious parents create pressure and a stress-filled environment. Stress reduces the brain's natural ability to learn and concentrate. Parents, I offer these words of encouragement. Ensure success, become a good listener, give just enough help, give encouragement with praise, and encourage curiosity. When reading a story with your child and they come to a word they struggle to recognize or sound out, don't immediately tell them the word. Ask them to get their mouth ready to say the sounds for the letters they see, or ask them to identify any sounds they know as they work from the beginning of the word to the end. Have them read to the end of the sentence to allow the other words in context to help them. If it is a sight word, have them make a 3x5 card with the word on front and a quick drawing for meaning on the back, and then have them flash through these cards every day until they instantly recognize the word. After 3 instant recognitions, the word is considered mastered. Put a sticker on it in reward. If they are very young, have them pair read the words with you. And not to be overlooked, Buckaroo Buckeye says, in closing, it is important to note the purpose of diagnostic screening is not to determine IQ, but rather to provide a learning ability evaluation. With focused treatments, everyone can grow and improve regardless of IQ, socioeconomic status, or primary language. Brain processing is inherent to all, and with proper development and exercise, everyone can achieve. Brain processing must be addressed through identification of good sensory cognitive programs. Reading programs by design are not the solution for struggling students. Before I go, Buckaroo says, until we meet again, thank you. And visit me at the web address listed here for more, or tune in to Buckaroo Buckeye is Nuts About Reading Part 2, The Reading Brain and Informal Reading Assessments.